Hello dear children. Today we'll continue with our poem The Road Not Taken. We have already discussed the first stanza. We'll continue with the second stanza now. The poet says in the second stanza, Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. So here children, better claim means a better option. Then grassy here means unused, and wanted wear means had not been used. Now children, here the poet is telling us his decision. So here he says then took the other as just as fair. So he had two options, out of which he observed the first one for a long time. Whether it would suit him, he observed it, he tried to judge whether it would suit him, and then he made a decision and started walking on the other one, because the he found that this road to be equally good as the first one. He says just as fair means both the paths were equally good, and so he started walking on one of them. Having perhaps the better claim. So it is quite possible that the poet felt that this path was better for him, and so he chose that. And why he felt so? Because it was grassy and wanted wear. It means it was unused. Not many people had walked on it earlier. This shows that the poet was adventurous. And so he chose such a path that had not been walked over by many people. Though as far that the passing there had worn them really about the same. After travelling some distance, the poet realized that both the paths have been worn out the same way, means that the road was initially grassy, but afterwards it was equally worn out or used or walked over. Now, children, let us correlate this stanza to our life. In our lives also, we have two or more choices. We choose one out of them, although all the options are similar. If we consider one option, and every option has some if we consider any option, each and every option has some benefits and some drawbacks, some shortcomings, some problems, some challenges, and we have to accept them and face them all. Initially, we feel that we have chosen a better option, but um, after experiencing for some time, we realize that both or all the options are similar. On all the paths, we have to face challenges and hurdles. Moving ahead to the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. So here the poet says, and both that morning equally lay. So in leaves, no step had trodden them. Children, here trodden means walked over. So when there are leaves on the ground, and if someone walks on that, those leaves get crushed, and if they are not fully dried, then they start turning black in color. So here in the first two lines, the poet says that both the paths are not that both the paths on that particular morning were equal, were similar. Both had leaves on them, and no one had stepped on those leaves, and they were still green or yellow in color. They had not yet turned black. Then the poet thought that he will take this path and keep the other path for some another day. Although he knew one way leads on to the other. That means you cannot go back on the choice you have made. Once you choose one path, again there might be a chance for you. There might not be a chance for you to again. You'll choose one. So like once you start moving on a path, say, and you come across a diversion, then you choose this path. When you go ahead on this path, probably you may have further choices. Again, you choose any one of it, say this path you choose, and then you keep on going ahead, and you may have choices again and again on the path you choose, but you don't have the option of going back again and selecting the path, going back again and selecting the path you have left. So you cannot come back here and select this path which you have left for some which you have left back earlier. But still, although the poet knew this thing, the poet knew that this cannot happen, this is not possible that you come back on the path and go and take the other path. He knew this. Still, he thought in his mind of I'll walk the other path some other day. Here the poet is saying that sometimes in our life also we choose a path or make a choice and think that we'll try the other option some other day or the next time, but that does not ever happen. Moving ahead to the fourth and the last stanza of the poem. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. So, here, children, the word sigh means deep breath, and ages and ages hence. So, here it means in the future, in the times to come. So now here the poet is telling about the future. What is the impact of his choice he has made on his future? He says, in the future I will take a deep breath and I will say that once upon a time I had reached in my life such a point that there were two options, two roads in a forest, and I travelled on that road which had been travelled by less people, and that choice has made what I am today. And that has made all the difference in my life. So now when we correlate this stanza with our life, in our future, when we grow up, when we will say, then we will say that once upon a time when I was young, I had two options in my life, and I chose that option which was not chosen by many people, and that choice has made me what I am today. Actually, this is true, because whatever you become in your future life depends upon what kind of choices you make today. So the poet wants all of us to realize that we should be very wise and careful when we make the choices, while we select our paths out of the given alternatives. So, this is a very strong message for all the students, that you should be very wise and careful while selecting the options that you have in your life, because your future depends upon the choices that you make today. So, children, here we come to the end of the poem. So, let us now analyze the poem. So, coming back to the first stanza, first of all, children, there is symbolism. Symbolism is the main base of this poem. Two roads diverge in a wood. So, these two roads symbolize or represent the two or more choices that we have in our life, and so it is an extended metaphor. Okay, because there is an comparison, there is symbolism. The two roads represent the two or more choices in our life, the options in our life. So it is an example of extended metaphor. Okay, now coming to the first stanza. The rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A, B, A, A, B. The words would, stood, and could rhyme, so that is an A. The words both and undergrowth rhyme, so that's a B. So the rhyme scheme becomes A B A A A B. Now moving ahead to the next stanza, that is the second stanza. Coming to the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme here is C D C C D, because fair, where, and there rhyme. So there goes a C. Also, claim and same do rhyme. So it is a C D C C D. Now, children, in this stanza, we also have an example of alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound at the beginning of two or more consecutive words. So, here in the line 3, we can see, because it was grassy and wanted where. So, wanted and where, the sound of the consonant W is repeated. Also, in line 4, that is, though as long that the passing there, in this line also the sounds of though th, that th, the th, and their th. So this sound of th is repeated. The beginning sound of the words are repeated. So it is an example of alliteration. Moving ahead to the third stanza. Coming to the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of third stanza is E, F, E, E, F. Lay, day and way rhyme, so it's an E. And black and back do rhyme, so it is an F. Okay. Now, in this stanza also we have an example of alliteration, that is in line 3. Oh, I kept the first for another day, wherein the sound of F first for the sound of F is repeated. So it is an example of alliteration. Moving ahead to stanza 4 and coming to the rhyme scheme is G, H, G, G, H as sigh, I and by rhyme. And hence and difference rhyme. So the rhyme scheme is G, H, G, G, H. Also in this stanza we have an example of a repetition in line 2. Somewhere ages and ages hence, the word ages are repeated, and repetition is the repeated use of a word in a sentence to lay emphasis. So ages and ages, the word ages is repeated, and hence it is an example of repetition. That is all in this poem, children. Thank you so much for listening to the explanation of the poem. So here we complete the meaning and explanation and analysis of the poem. So after this I'll also send you the workshop activities, as we have already done the warming up. So we will move ahead to the English workshop activity, which I'll send you in the form of pics. Thank you so much.